China shocked. U.S. bombers enter Chinese air defense zone. United States sent 2 long-range bombers into China's Air Defense Identification Zone or ADIZ on Tuesday in an apparent show of force, as the Chinese Navy conducted a series of simultaneous massive drills. According to aviation tracker Aircraft Spots, 2 U.S. Air Force B-1B Lancer bombers left Andersen Air Force Base in Guam on Tuesday morning and entered China's ADIZ over the East China Sea. Aircraft Spots said the bombers were refueled in flight during the mission. The B-1B has the biggest payload of any bomber and is a departure from the fighter jets and spy planes the American forces have sent before on missions so close to the Chinese coast. Such heavy aircraft are not known for being deployed on spying missions, suggesting that the U.S. was sending a blunt warning. The U.S. bomber mission comes amid uncertainty in the U.S., where U.S. President Donald Trump has refused to concede defeat to challenger Joe Biden 2 weeks after the presidential election. The uncertainty has raised concerns in Beijing about the possibility of an accidental conflict. Aircraft Spots said the U.S. bombers flew very close to the northeast corner of Taiwan's ADIZ and they would have entered the zone if they had continued on the same trajectory. Under international rules, aircraft flying over such zones should notify the relevant authorities before doing so. But the U.S. and Japan do not recognize China's claims over the area. Also on Tuesday, a Taiwan Air Force F-16 disappeared off the coast of Hualien during an evening mission. Military authorities said they were investigating the case and it was not clear if it was related to any military drills in the area. The bomber's mission also coincided with Chinese naval drills conducted simultaneously in the South China Sea, East China Sea and Bohai Sea. Military analysts said the exercises were a signal from China's top brass that the People's Liberation Army could conduct joint operations in different military theaters at the same time. The PLA drills were announced indirectly by China's Maritime Safety Administration, which issued notices warning vessels to stay away from an area from the southern tip of the Yellow Sea to waters near Hainan Island. The no-go zone included an area with a 5-kilometer or 3-mile radius off the coast of Beihai in the southwestern region of Guangxi. Another area in the South China Sea, in Honghai Bay southwest of Shanwei in southern Guangdong province, was restricted to traffic from Tuesday morning to early evening for military training. Honghai Bay is about 100 km or 62 miles from Taiwan-controlled Pratas Island, which is also claimed by Beijing. Hong Kong-based military commentator Song Zhongping said the naval exercises would probably involve rocket launches. The 5-kilometer or 3-mile radius of the restricted areas indicates that the strikes are to test their high-precision ability, said Song, a former instructor in the PLA 2nd Artillery Corps, the predecessor of the Rocket Force. Song said the exercises indicated the PLA could mobilize forces in different regions in an emergency. Unexpected military clashes can happen anywhere, and if conflict happens in the Taiwan Strait, it could quickly turn out to be a large-scale military confrontation, and the Chinese military needs the ability to counterattack in the worst scenario, he said. John Bradford, a senior fellow specializing in maritime security issues at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies at Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, said that by holding 4 exercises at the same time, the Chinese Navy was clearly showing its military readiness. Such demonstrations will become more regular as the PLA Navy continues to expand the size of its force and the range of its operational competencies. In fact, we should expect this sort of thing to happen more frequently as the Chinese Navy grows in size and mission. Colin Koh, a research fellow also from the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, said the drills were in response to what Beijing saw as an increasingly complex security environment. What he will see as something to watch is how these drills integrate various agencies, such as the PLA, civilian bodies and so on. This would be a logical expectation after the Central Military Commission recently issued a new outline on promoting joint operations in the PLA, said Koh, referring to the body that commands and controls the military. China's Defense Ministry did not respond to requests for comment on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the U.S. will incur great cost to itself on its own soil if it initiates unrestricted warfare against China under the false pretext of deterrence, while the real motive is dictated by the malignant notions of supremacy and entitlement. It is therefore the U.S. which needs to consider the high price that it would have to pay, were it foolish enough to put into action Flournoy's imperialistic threats against China if she were appointed defense secretary. In his latest book, A Promised Land, former U.S. President Barack Obama writes that his black presidency had triggered a deep-seated panic, a sense that the natural order had been disrupted. No doubt Michelle Flournoy's threat, in suggesting that the United States has the ability to sink all PLA Navy vessels in the South China Sea in 72 hours. A China acting in defense of its territorial sovereignty in the South China and East China Seas is usurping this Western prerogative and must be deterred with full U.S. military might. Flournoy's suggestions included the capability to credibly threaten to sink even unarmed Chinese merchant ships. Such a move would undoubtedly provoke an all-out nuclear war between the U.S. and China. She obviously forgets that, unlike all U.S. foreign wars to date where civilian casualties have been outside its borders, China's nuclear weapons can reach the U.S. mainland. The DF-21D is believed to have a range of about 1,500 kilometers, and U.S. Department of Defense reported that the anti-ship variant reached an early capability in 2010. The missile was dubbed the Carrier Killer for possibly being able to hit U.S. aircraft carriers far out to sea. The DF-26B has a much longer range of around 4,000 kilometers, leading some to call it the Guam Express because it could theoretically target U.S. military bases on the island of Guam. Missiles successfully struck a maneuvering U.S. warship at sea, according to remarks made by a former senior Chinese officer, Wang Xiangxue, who now works as a professor in Beijing. Over the summer, the launches were interpreted as a message to the United States after a U.S. spy plane overflew Chinese naval exercises in the Bohai Sea the day before. Chinese officials complained that the flight disrupted its naval drills. That summer saw intense activity in the South China Sea from both the U.S. Navy and the People's Liberation Army or PLA Navy. Two U.S. carrier groups operated together in the South China Sea in July at least twice, in a rare concentration of U.S. naval power, and individual carrier groups operated in and around the sea throughout the summer. China conducted extensive naval drills of its own in the South China Sea in July and August.